An agent wildebeest.
Because probably are. Right.
That's fair. My last week I've been in my 20s.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Sad
you're going to be
moments.
30. Yeah.
Mm, sad.
Ah.
Okay, we crack on.
Yeah. Right. So, okay. Episode 2. Um, with myself and Alan Kelly, uh, still keeping the head and how we see it. So, this episode, we're gonna address um drugs, supplements, maybe a bit of training in there as well, and I'm just gonna fire a few questions here and there. Okay.
Fine by me.
Right. Now, look, I'm just gonna ask questions that I would get asked.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you be my coach. I do things the way you do. Other people may not. So I'm just gonna throw a few nutrition questions as if I don't know,
Yeah,
if that
yeah.
makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So one question that seems to pop up a lot, and it drives me nuts. I'm sure you get it as well. When you get a client, now it might possibly a new enough client, and they ask about when am I going to have a cheat meal,
Mm-hmm.
right? So don't answer that just yet. So we get onto the whole cheat meal thing. But
Mm-hmm.
if you were to, let's say someone is in prep,
Mm-hmm.
and some coaches prefer, okay, I'll give them a cheat meal or I'll give them a complex carb refeed day. So which one? I know obviously it depends on the person and what everything around that, what they're doing. But what would your opinion on that be? Would it ever change and you would give someone a cheat meal, or would you prefer just going the complex carb route?
Depends on the individual. Like if we're looking at a competitor, or we're looking at the general population, it's two different situations. Um, Also, if we're talking about off season and going into preparation for a show, whether you're 16 or 19 weeks prior to a show, again, it's different. But what we need to understand is that there's a million and one reasons as to why someone eats the way they eat. These can be deep-rooted psychological issues. People could be coming to you firstly with bad experiences around food. Um, and like I said, just bad habits built in, but that there's reasons behind them, and it's your job as a coach then to distinguish why they eat in certain mannerisms, and find the correct path for them. So like if we start first, if we look at the general population, the way I approach things is at in the beginning, it's all about educating the client. So if you have a client that has big aspirations, one of the things that you need to do is be able to make sure that their goals are realistic, and achieve micro goals along the way. And in order to do that is by creating a habit of small wins. So if we set forth a food plan, for instance, within that food plan, there has to be room for flexibility. So whether that's one meal off plan per week, whether that's working with the plan Monday to Friday and then counting macronutrients Saturday and Sunday, to ensure that there's that educational side of things in there, not just reading a food plan as a prescription because AKA says so, or Vinny says so, or so on and so forth. So there has to be the whole educational aspect of things, because after all, people who hire myself or hire yourself, they're not there to be coached for life. Um, so they need to be able to be a sponge, and we need to have the mindset of what our coaching footprint will be when we leave. If we just write a food plan with no flexibility built into it, or we're not willing to allow any flexibility, well then that's wrong on our behalf. Absolutely, as someone coming in to see me, that's general pop. Their goal is to look and feel better. Um, then I would be one for either taking an 80-20 approach, or um, if they're adamant on having a food plan, well, then there would be some built in, whether it's one meal a week or whether, like I said, it's Monday to Friday. But another thing to note would be that the cycle, that a cheat meal, although quote unquote it's nutritionally unbeneficial for our body, there is some aspects in terms of psychology that it's going to enhance. So if you have to think sort of outside the box, that sort of rewards scheme, that if you have a client that, like I said, can build up the process of small wins, reaching a target each week, and then having that meal with their family or with their friends, so they don't seem secluded then if they're going to a barbecue or whatnot, or they want to just go out for a meal when the restaurants open up. So looking at it from the more social aspect, and then in order to have adherence and enjoyment long term, that would be my approach.
Yeah.
Now,
So go on.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, like, if people are watching, they might not understand what 80-20 means. So you're meaning 80% of food is good and 20% is bad, and you're just
throughout the week, yeah.
Okay.
Or we could break that down to daily either. Again, it just depends on the individual, where they're coming to you from. If they're coming from someone that's eating extremely poorly, whether one day they might have a slice of toast for breakfast and then a Chinese for dinner, then the next day they might have a more quote unquote healthier day, and then the next day it's back to that, and then the day after that they go for a chicken roll. So it's just very inconsistent food patterns, and then once the weekend hits, then they feel they need to get their takeaway. And again, there's reasons behind, like I said, I want to hit home with that. There's reasons behind why people eat the way they eat. It's not out of laziness. It's not out of it's not, I would say it's a double-edged sword. Like, I could say that it's of no fault of their own, but they're not aware how to make the changes, and if they can make the changes. They might have tried the likes of Slimming World or other bullshit diet fads, so, and failed, and that's created then the notion of, I can't do this, this is too difficult, I need to just eat like a full-on bodybuilder and eat chicken and rice, otherwise I'm off plan, or labeling good foods and bad foods. That's dangerous territory when you're somebody that doesn't understand food or how you eat food in the first place.
Yeah, so just to
it's
clarify,
definitely the psychological side of it.
Yeah, so you're giving them that 20 more for the mental aspect of it.
Yeah, to build in some enjoyment, and thus leading on to adherence.
Yeah, to keep the diet consistent.
Yeah, because the best diet is the diet that an individual stick to. Now, if we're looking at a bodybuilder who is in his or her off season and they're eating in a surplus, but then I might be a little bit more reluctant to be handing out meals off plan, especially if they've got big aspirations. And I see that then as, if you're as okay, let's break it down. As you know, that when you're in an off season, you're highly driven at the beginning, but when your mind has become accustomed to looking stage lean, them cuts and definition, they start to fade, and things start to change. Although you're performing really well in the gym and whatnot, it's difficult to get food in, and especially like if I just take you into consideration here, so where I've pushed carbohydrates up on you by 1,000 grams per day. That is, and that is a shit ton of carbohydrates to be getting in for anybody that doesn't know that.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's a lot of food, So when you're eating that quantity of food, if I have to give you a cheat meal, I hate that term, but a meal off plan, and say you pick something along the lines of a pizza, you got the Pizza Hut or something like that, although it's not the direct effect of the calories coming in that is the issue here. It's what happens the next day. Generally speaking, what will happen the next day is that we've got a level of inflammation in the gut, and your body's not used to breaking that down, and now you have to shovel in a whole ton of food again, where your digestion is impaired and your appetite is impaired. And it's a common thing that we'd see with heavier muscled bodybuilders, that when you're not eating well, So, like I said, I hate using the term good food, bad food, but when you're not eating nutritionally dense foods, your appetite will become impaired, and then your digestion will start to become impaired, and then it's like anything. Everything that we do should be built around repetition. So if you can't adhere to high amounts of food for a prolonged time, you're essentially pissing against the wind, you know.
Yeah.
So I tend not to take, when we're at the extreme of pushing food, I tend not to take the flexible approach, for them reasons.
Mm-hmm. And the whole calories in, calories out issue.
Yeah. So energy balance is the foundation of everything that we do and prescribe when it comes to
But
food.
you know, when you
So,
get the one person that would pop up and say, "Oh, in order to push my calories, I'm going to eat this like bar of chocolate or this," you know, stupid stuff.
but it's it's the knock-on effect on that. So when
I
we
know you're
look at
saying
what,
with the gut and stuff, yeah.
yeah, so there's multiple things that directly affect energy balance, and then there's multiple things that indirectly affect energy balance, you know. Excuse me. So in order to stay, I wouldn't say adherence to it, because you can have, like, you don't need to eat 110% clean all the time. You can have foods, obviously, that you're fitting in that amount that you find palatable, you know. And when you're eating 1,000 grams of carbohydrates, I'm not talking about being unclean as in having like a couple of Rice Krispie squares
Yeah, I
after
know.
a training session,
Yeah.
or bagels with honey. That's not what I'm referring to when I'm saying quote unquote bad food. I'm saying that if you sit down on a Friday night and you wolf a pizza and chips and an ice cream because you see that as your bulking and that's 2,000 calories or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
What happens on Saturday then? Yeah, when you wake up in the morning, you're likely dehydrated from the amount of sodium that was in the meal.
Bloated and you feel like shit and you're tired.
You've got either upper or low GI bloating. You might have acute IBS. You're going then in to do your training session. After your training session, you're still not hungry. Your training session was lackluster. Sunday rolls on. You're still feeling a little bit shit. It might be Monday or Tuesday before you're able to get back onto the path that we want. And then again, Friday or Saturday comes along and you do it again. So when you're eating high amounts of food, I don't think there is room to be off plan.
Yeah.
My opinion. And I don't like to see it, like I said to yourself, obviously coaching you, this is the approach that I've took. Now there is some anomalies out there, that there's people that can eat crazy amounts of food without having their digestion impaired.
Yeah.
You're not one of them. I'm not one of them. Many people aren't these, you know, don't fall into that category.
But the majority of us are in that category.
We don't fall into the category of being able to eat.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like
how much we want, what we want, and find any negative effects.
Yeah, but that's rare. Yeah, I think that's rare.
Yeah, it's extremely rare. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's extremely rare. Like, you're not one of them. I'm not one of them.
Yeah, that brings on to as to why, another reason as to why you should stay consistent with that eating pattern.
You know? Well, like, and another side of things is that I touched on it a second ago when I said that you're motivated at the start of your book, but as you get deeper and deeper and deeper and you're pushing food, it's very, very easy to start picking up bad habits and start instilling behavioral change when it comes to your food, and you start getting lazy. You know, you need to, if you've got high ambitions, you need to be able to treat your off season as you do with your competition prep. There's no off here. Like it's you're improving. Simple.
Yeah, if you want
that should
to get
be your
better,
mindset.
Yeah.
If you're looking for cheat meals every week, in my opinion, you need to reevaluate your goals. You know, if you want to be general population to look good on a holiday or whatnot, feel better, confident, be healthier, pick up your kids, play with your kids, whatever it may be, perfect. But if you're a bodybuilder that is truly ambitious about competing high in the pro leagues or winning a national title or winning an overall, whatever it may be, if your ambitions are high when it comes to the extremes of pushing body composition, you need to reassess your goals if all you're asking for is a cheat meal every fucking weekend.
Yeah.
And I will take anyone that's coached by me, including yourself, I'll take a no bullshit approach with it. And I know you're the same.
Yeah. So, so the non-bodybuilders, you tend to just give them a little bit of leeway for the.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's all based on like the individual that's coming to you. So you've got your the ratio between your accuracy and your flexibility. So the closer we get to a shower, the higher your goals are, the more accurate we need to be. If that's not what you're looking for, the more flexible we get to be. So it's definitely down to the individual that's going to approach me with what they want to do and what they want to achieve.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, well, they don't really see the day by day step of prep. So they're seeing.
They only see the 12 weeks or 16 weeks
Yeah,
out.
but say let's for example, I wouldn't really, but let's say you're not posting up your food all the time. I do the odd time post up a bit of food, especially in pre-contest. But there is the individuals that would just only post up the shitty foods, and people have the conclusion, oh, he's eating this all the time. That means if he's able to do that, I'm able to do that. You know what I mean?
I feel coaches are very much guilty of that as well, you know.
Yeah.
You'd see an individual that's in so much shape. Now, this is not aimed at anyone or bodybuilders or alike, but because it comes from all parts of personal trainers, whether they're just if they're in good nick, you'll see commonly that he or she might put up a picture, and then the following story will be them swamping donuts or eating something that they know that's going to spark a question as to how that person is in that shape, you know.
Yeah.
And it can be a marketing tool, but I feel like for me, ethically, it's wrong. Obviously, years of studying nutrition and stuff, it's not how I was taught, and I find it then somewhat disrespectful. Not so much to me, but for the people that they're potentially going to coach, because you're playing on people's insecurities, you know.
Hey,
If
good
I'm
answer.
sounding nasally at all, just
I
tell
know.
me, because I'm
No,
dying of hay
me,
fever.
yeah, me as well. I'm sure people are gonna realize that we're nasally. But that brings me on to another question, right? Let's say you've got a bodybuilder. This is a bodybuilding question. Let's say you've got a bodybuilder who has the desire to be a super heavyweight, but his genetic, let's say, well, his genetics will not allow him to go beyond that unless he really, really pushed, pushed obviously the food and the drugs and all that stuff. But if classic physique was the cards he was dealt with, do you think that person should stick around with classic physique? Bear in mind
Yeah.
this person wants to be a super heavyweight.
But has that person maxed out the weight limit in classic physique yet? That's the question that I would be looking at. And that's the question I'd be posing to them, is that why are you looking so far ahead on something that's supposed to be a long-term journey? Like at the end of the day, the difference between classic and being a super heavyweight is miles in terms of visual looks and weight
Well,
and the scale, but it's the journey of accruing tissue.
Let me give
So
you a
if you
better
haven't,
example
yeah.
of a person. Let's say it were the taller classic physique guys. So let's say the guys in like 6'2", 6'3", that can fit in the classic physique and still kind of make weight for the heavyweights, like Chris Bumstead, for example. He's the first one that would spring to mind. Like he could be a heavyweight, but the cards he's dealt with is classic physique. And look, I know he's the Olympia champion.
He's the best in the world, so he should stay there.
Well, let's say someone who didn't have that genetics as well put as he is.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, classic isn't just about weight, as you know. It's about the look that you have, and sometimes that look is God-given. It's genetics. If you've got an individual that is long and stringy, that loves bodybuilding but doesn't quite fit the criteria for classic, well, then you're going to have a long, hard chat with that individual and say, look, we can push to the heavies, but like it's going to take years. The muscle isn't just going to, especially if you're not genetically gifted, muscle's not going to accrue over the space of a year, even 2 years. To take that step up and compete with the super heavies is a different ball game. That's going to take years, years and years.
Yeah.
No,
it's just a simple question would be.
Yeah, so I'd be explaining to the person, you're going to be playing the long game and you're going to be spending a lot of time staying glued to that goal when times are tough. That goal doesn't change. You know, it may seem easier to then jump into another category, but goals are the goals. But if
And
they don't have the genetics,
but
they
we,
don't
we
have the
but as
genetics.
like obviously because I'm in classic physique.
Mhm.
Do you think there is a lot of guys in classic physique that shouldn't be there? For example,
Yeah.
a lot of the taller guys that can fit into both kind of, they can maybe go into
I
open
think
and do
there's a lot that's sucked down from open,
yeah.
um, and that makes it difficult
But do you think
on
that's
the.
killed the open bodybuilding scene, or do you think they're
Yeah,
being smart? They should like
I think they're being smart,
yeah,
to be honest. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it like, look, at the end of the day, the
It's what I
bodybuilders
did.
that
It's
are,
what I did with the classic bodybuilding. Obviously, it was a lot.
yeah. So these
Yeah.
bodybuilders have to put food on the table. They put food on the table by accumulating wins.
Hmm.
You know, so if you are going to go and look like a classic bodybuilder on an open super heavyweight stage, you're not going to go very far. You
Yeah.
know,
No, I just wanted to get your opinion on whether the way
I
some
think it's
people.
smart enough.
Yeah, the way some
If
people.
you were above and beyond with your shape now, if we just bring it home to you, and you were above and beyond at that weight, um, with your shape, I'd be sucking you down, because otherwise you would look like a big classic guy competing against natural super heavyweights.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be my opinion on it.
That's yeah. Cool. That answers that. Um. Okay, so we'll stick with nutrition. So we touched on the pushing food in the off season. I wanted to just go back to what you said. Um, if a physique, let's say in the off season, you know at the start you're motivated, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh my god, this is so much food. Would
Hang on 1 second, Vin. Sorry about that. My ma was calling me.
it's grand.
Thanks, ma.
I can edit that out.
I can keep it in. It's fine. If she calls again, I'll just keep hanging up until she gets the picture. If you're watching this, ma, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the off season food thing. So yeah, you're motivated, and then you get to the end, you're kind of getting a little bit sluggish, and you're like, oh, this is too much food. Do you let the physique? Do you do like? Would you let somebody kind of get that little bit messy and not give a shit, even if they are getting in the
No,
calories and the food? Yeah. Okay.
no, never. Because what's the key to long-term growth is to remain somewhat insulin sensitive throughout. Yeah. So if that individual is, if we just look at it from the physiological standpoint, if that individual is getting up and above the amounts of body fat that we want, they're going to be lethargic when it comes to their food, as you mentioned there. They're not going to be getting a pump or performing in the gym, more than likely under recovering, thus not accruing tissue, and then insulin sensitivity is impaired. So the food that they're putting in, it's just going to be a hamster wheel. They're just essentially just going to get fatter and underperform. So
Yeah.
for me, the ballpark figure would be 15-16%, and then pull back down to a mini cut, and then repeat that process and just rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Obviously,
But
I know that from working with you, that's what we do. But just
yeah,
it's just more if people are looking at this and young guys looking at it and they think
mm-hmm.
that you can just shuffle down loads of food and eat, eat,
Yeah,
eat, eat.
you can't be in a surplus forever. You know, it's not a case. And another thing is that a lot of people think they're eating in a surplus because they're eating the odd bad thing every day,
Yeah,
and they're
and
not.
probably
They
eating
wonder why they're
less.
not
And
growing.
probably eating less
Yeah,
calories.
yeah, and it comes back to, again, impairing the integrity of the gut.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, you can't. You have to be smart and strategic, as you are with anything when it comes to fat loss, but reversing that when it comes to accruing tissue. And it the common scenario is that people take their fat loss journey, even when it's outside bodybuilding, a lot more serious than they do um, when they're looking to build tissue. So, like you would have individuals then that think that they've done a cut, and they think that they're big, but they look like Justin Bieber, you know. So,
Okay.
and then with the bodybuilding side is, yeah, it's it's a shame because there's a lot of people there that have a lot of potential, but they just tend to show up the same every year. You know,
Yeah.
they don't make any improvements, and that for me as a coach is fucking frustrating. You know, looking at that, because if they just adhered, because like condition for some of these individuals that I'm thinking of in my head, it never seems to be an issue. It's always the issue of that individual
Putting on
hasn't
size.
changed. Yeah. So what let them down last year has let them down this year. And what let them down last year wasn't condition. It
Mm-hmm.
was delts, or it was glutes, or it was back or arms, you know. So if you're going to be competing every year, take the feedback that the judges give you. They give you that feedback for a fucking reason. Now, excuse my language. I swore I wouldn't curse as much this week. But
I don't think people care.
I do. Take that feedback that the judges have given you, and then if you're coaching yourself, become accountable to yourself. And take action then throughout the year. If you've got a coach, well then you report that feedback back to the coach. Your coach should be approaching you and knowing this anyway. So, if you've got a coach and you're not improving year in year out, fire your coach.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good message. Right. So, okay, let's. I think we've talked a good bit about nutrition there. We didn't go into too much detail, but it's a good start. So, I want to move on to sleep. Now, this is one thing that, from working with you, that I've worked on a lot, because I never used to sleep a lot. Like I would be the type of person that I'd still get up early. I could be getting up at like 6, 7 o'clock. Now I get up earlier, but
Mhm.
I would sometimes find myself after eating my last meal, I tend to just sit in the couch and I watch TV and I wouldn't even realize the time,
Yeah, and
you know. And it could
that's the
be,
common thing.
yeah. Now, just explain. Now I know you have your website, the AK Method,
Mhm.
and you can explain all this stuff on there.
Sign up €9 a month.
Yeah, there, yeah. And just quickly,
Yeah.
just quickly, just kind of give
Oh,
your
yeah.
yeah,
That's why it's important.
yeah,
That's why,
on sleep. Yeah.
sleep is like, you'll always hear me saying that sleep leads health. And what I mean by that is that without sleep, you'll die. It's as simple as that. With very little sleep, we downregulate pathways such as the ability to metabolize and digest carbohydrate, decision making. So cognitivity is impaired. You know, the likes of anxiety will increase. Your heart rate variability will decrease. Your morning heart rate and your blood pressure will increase. What sort of position that puts you in then is somebody that's under recovered and can't recover from the stimulus and the stresses of life, not only just training and dieting. Now they can't metabolize the carbohydrates that they're eating, and their cognitive function outside of just decision making, but their short-term memory, all of this is being impaired, and that's just from a couple of nights per sleep. So like sleep and hydration are the two things that an individual needs to look at first, and then we look at monitoring sleep environment, sleep hygiene, and then looking to improve that, because without that being assessed or with that being overlooked, um, you really are not going to fulfill anywhere near your potential. And because like people get really used to feeling like shit, you know, and they become that person that, oh yeah, I've had a headache, I've always got a headache, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. If you're not sleeping because you're that person that, I don't need much sleep, I survive on 3 or 4 hours, that is a big deal. That whole mindset of I'll sleep when I'm dead, and being that hustler grind and this type of stuff, that doesn't work. That is dumb. You know, that is super dumb. Where when we look at sleep, their circadian system, um, we understand that our first half of sleep is all about muscular repair, and the second half is about cognitive repair. That's for a reason. We sleep for a reason. So it's massively important.
Yeah, and
Like
it's
massively.
something so
It's
simple,
so
but
it's
people
so
don't.
overlooked.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No,
even as much as I speak about it, it's still overlooked. People
yeah,
still think I'm just he's just being a nerd. He's gone off on another rant there. He's
yeah, but it does make a
blah blah
difference.
blah.
Yeah, massive difference.
It's the easiest thing to fix, you know. Oh, I've got a cramp in my leg. Oh, sorry. That's not planned. It's the easiest thing to fix. So even simply getting a set of glasses, so blue light blocker glasses, and popping them on 45 minutes, 90 minutes prior to bed is going to make a massive difference in terms of your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Like 1 millisecond of blue light, if that's 1 millisecond. So if you like literally have your phone, boom, look at it for a second, turn it off, that can downregulate melatonin straight away and other pathways straight away. So you really need to be conscientious of your sleep environment. So your sleep should, your bedroom should be like a cave. Yeah, should be pitch black, nothing inside, no TV on the wall, no nothing like that. Your phone on airplane mode and away from the bed, and the window slightly open so that it's cool. You don't want to be sleeping, although it's not ideal now because it's quite humid, but you don't want to be sleeping in a super hot environment. So.
What about someone who, let's say someone who's got really tough working hours? Let's say, I'm sure you have a few clients like that. Let's say people are in security or police officers, you know, down that line. Would having naps now and again suffice?
Yeah, absolutely. There's numerous different things that we can do for that. One of the things that we could do is we could supplement in melatonin to at the same periods of time throughout the night that we would get a natural melatonin release within our body during sleep. So we could do that, and then obviously, like, if we'd make up normal sleep hours. So if you were someone that was working throughout the night and you were getting home at, say, 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, it is important then obviously that you have your room, like a blackout blind for you is essential. The same processes of trying to prepare yourself and almost trick your body into creating a new sleep cycle is massive. So a blackout blind, same sleep environment, no phone aside, and getting that 7-8 hours is massively important. You need to be getting at least 4 sleep cycles a night, whether you're doing nights or not.
Do you use a watch to track your sleep or any apps or anything like that?
So you can use a Whoop strap. Whoop straps are good. I have a few clients that use them. I've used an Oura ring in the past, and that's brilliant. But the likes of a Fitbit or an Apple Watch,
I've seen that Oura ring. That's American, yeah.
Yeah, they're very good.
I've seen the NBA players have to wear that now.
Yeah, and the Whoop straps are very good as well. The Whoop straps you would have seen a lot of. They do a lot. You would have seen a lot of the Whoop straps being used in last year's CrossFit Games.
Right.
But the Oura ring would be the number one thing in terms of tracking sleep for me.
Right. Okay.
But it's very easy. Like, we can take our own biofeedback.
I haven't used any. That's why I asked. I haven't used anything, but I was still able to. Sleep. Yeah, I was still able to track it and stuff.
So once we manage your sleep hygiene, fix what was going wrong, obviously, like ensuring that caffeine, understanding the half-life of caffeine and cutting it out.
That was my next question. I was going to jump in there. Yeah, you just answered it.
Yeah, so these things, taking out stimulants of life, because stress is a stimulant. We get a release of catecholamines in the body, and that acts in the same way as what caffeine would. It's a stressor, So cutting out all the stressors in life, and blue light glasses, blocker glasses, we can monitor our own sleep. Like, you don't just, the one thing is that you don't confuse sleep opportunity with the amount of time that you're going to sleep. So if you're going to bed at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., that's your sleep opportunity. You don't count that as I went to bed. So you haven't fell asleep at 10 p.m. So giving yourself adequate sleep opportunity is massively important. A common mistake is that you'd give yourself 8 hours, including sleep opportunity to sleep.
Yeah, and then you hear the stories of the likes of Jay Cutler, and I've heard of other bodybuilders, and they're getting up during the night and eating.
Yeah.
Like,
look.
What's your opinion on that?
They don't fall. They're not. They're aliens.
And they're Ronnie Coleman. He'd sleep like 5 hours.
These people. Yeah, but these people. Yeah, but how much what's this life stress like throughout the day? These are full-time professional bodybuilders, so that sleeping throughout the day isn't an issue. A lot of the time, these people throughout the day will just literally try and eat sleep. So that 5 hours that they sleep at night is not a true evaluation. You know, if you look at their sleep cycles throughout a week, it's probably more than what any of us,
looking at it, yeah.
more than any of us sleep, you know. So if I was getting my meals sent to me and all I had to do was train and eat, I don't have anywhere near the genetics, but it would make life a lot easier. So I could survive off 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, or so it may seem. But you would look at them at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, chances are they're in bed and wake up, eat, train. Simple, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so right, let's move on from that. Let's get on to the juicy stuff. So I don't like talking about it. I never did like talking about it. But the whole chemical enhancement side of things.
Right.
So yeah, so look, you know me as well, like, and the way you work as well.
Natural.
Yeah, natural, yeah. But the doses that we would run, people are would comment and say bullshit. Like, our doses would be low,
extremely low,
compared
extremely
to
low.
what I hear of other guys taking. So the reason why I'm bringing up this topic is it's just not for the older guys, but maybe they might find it interesting. But the younger lads, they seem to think that the more drugs you take, the better.
It's the opposite.
And you know, it's always the question they ask is, oh, what do you take, or what, you know, like, for example, I had a young lad last year come up to me in the gym, and he was no older than 16. He says, where can I get it? And I was like, hold on a minute, what age are you? And he said to, he turned around and said to me and says, oh, I've took a cycle of blah 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 before. I says, you're only 16. Says, you shouldn't even be considering touching that stuff. So that brings me on to the question: is what age do you think an individual male should start a cycle? Like, before you say anything, this is regards to bodybuilding. I can't stand when young guys are wanting to take chemicals if they don't want to compete. I don't think there's a need to, but obviously there's going to be the odd two that are going to want to. But what age do you think is the proper age?
Put a number on an age is difficult. We're talking about males here, yeah? Talking about males, yeah. So to put a number on the age is extremely difficult. Like, you shouldn't be even thinking about steroids if you're in your teens. Simple as. You're looking at like 20, 21 being far too young, in my opinion. Now, you're going to have some junior bodybuilders that will refute what I'm saying here, but a lot of junior bodybuilders, when you're taking a junior bodybuilding, for example, yeah, so you have these guys that are highly driven, highly motivated individuals, young individuals. A lot of the time, they haven't taken as much as what people may seem to believe. Well, any of the ones that I've spoke to, whether it's difficult for me to say like you're wrong to do something. If your goal is to win a junior bodybuilding title in a show that's not tested, because that's the whole point of junior bodybuilding, is to win at a young age, obviously.
Yeah.
But if like it's difficult to put a number on it. I would say like just make sure that you've done your research, make sure that you're being guided by the correct individuals. You're not being stupid. Lose the mindset of more is better, because it's the complete opposite. Understand the potential side effects of everything that you're going to take. Don't just think that you're going to get away scot-free. A lot of people don't experience any negative side effects for years and years, and then there's more and more people needing TRT for life in their 20s, you know. So and that if that's a side effect that you're okay with, perfect.
Getting
but
your
just
bloods done
understand
as well regularly.
understand the the potential sides. And that's it. Who am I to say your age? You know, if you're looking at, when it comes to bodybuilding, if you're looking at outside
Well,
bodybuilding,
let me change it. Like,
I would say that I would like to see everybody compete once as a natural.
yeah.
There's no what age would be that would be lesser side effects, because at the end of the day, like, the side effects are the side effects, and people get side effects in different severities. However, the long-term side effect of potential TRT for life is there for everybody, you know. So, like, if we're talking outside the realms of bodybuilding, I think that you'd want. I don't, like, people will do what they want and just make sure that you get guidance, but I don't think there's anywhere near a need to be on steroids for what most people want to achieve. You know, because people are losing sight as to what is achievable naturally. You know, if someone wants abs, decent arms, and a couple of veins, and look like they train well and train hard and look good and impress girls and whatnot, or men, whatever, you don't need steroids to do that. You know, it's when you're looking to push, like really push, and look like, you know, the difference. You know, when you're looking to push about the realms of body composition, well, that's when maybe consider them. But when it comes to bodybuilding, but if you're not looking to bodybuilding, you're just general population. Never mind if you play other sports, that's the likes of combat sports or whatnot, you're just a downright fucking cheater, and that needs to stop. I'd be of a strong opinion on that. But if we're just looking at the normal gym pop that just wants to look and feel better, hire a good coach and let himself or herself guide you down the path that you can realize your potential as a natural, you know. Because there's a lot there that can be achieved as a natural. And then for bodybuilding, like I just briefly touched on, I would say that I'd like to see everybody compete at least once as a natural, because at least you can say that this is how you looked as a natural, and you know the processes in which you have to go through, and the mental hardship, and the different protocols that will be in play as you go through prep as a natural.
Yeah.
And then use that maybe as a rebound to then potentially add something in, and, you know. Yes. I think it's a bit foolish to go straight in using steroids to compete straight off the bat.
Yeah, so reach your genetic potential first. Yeah, naturally. Right. So I just lost my train of thought again. I'm definitely gonna edit this shit out. Sick.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, that brings me on to this question. So when it comes to the whole drug side of things from people outside of bodybuilding, so okay, we know the whole ins and outs of it. We're bodybuilders. You're the coach. I'm a coach. We know what to take in a safe dose. You know, getting our bloods done. You know, tracking everything to make sure we're healthy. And you're going to get the one or two individuals that are just going to say, "Oh, steroids are this and steroids are that," without, you know, realizing what exactly they do. So, so let's say the typical outside person would think, "Oh, you're just going to put that stuff into your body and you're just going to turn into the Incredible Hulk."
Yeah, that's the common conception, and that can't be any further than the truth, you know.
Yeah.
By any means, but like, yeah, people think that so and so uses steroids, then what? Oh, that's not real muscle. They're not strong. They're cheating. This, that, and the other. If you're looking to push the realms of bodybuilding, it's you can push it naturally. But if you're looking to really, really, really push it and push what you see as possible with your own body composition, steroids are a necessary tool. What is even more necessary is to find people to guide you that are experienced, and not just take the word off the biggest person in the gym or the person selling you stuff or trying to sell you stuff potentially. There's more and more information out there. on what to do and what not to do. And a lot of the stuff that people are doing is just downright dangerous. There's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of myths. And then there's a lot of things that are true that people do try to downplay and say that aren't true. So it is a steroids are a drug and drugs have side effects. Now, if you're looking at someone that's saying that steroids are absolutely horrendous for you and how could you take them, and sure, you're only just full of steroids and this, that, and the other. But that person at the weekend goes out and has 10 drinks and a bag of cocaine. Who are they to say anything? A lot of people are using recreational drugs. Bodybuilders, when they're taking it obviously serious, when I'm talking about serious, legit bodybuilders here, don't put a foot wrong throughout the week. They're eating nutrient-dense foods, they're hydrated, they're sleeping well. A lot of the time they don't smoke, don't drink. So the poison that they have chosen would be steroids in order, seeing it as a necessary evil to achieve what they want to achieve. But look, who am I to say anything about anybody doing anything at the weekend? Just because, like, I don't drink. I haven't drank in 9 years. So who am I to say anything about anybody that goes out and uses alcohol? More people die from alcohol abuse than anything else, or than steroids that will ever come from steroids. The same with recreational drug abuse. Even the addiction to painkillers is massive. So, but it's okay to just call someone out as being a riot head, but you wouldn't turn around to the person that is in the pub a lot and call them a smelly alcoholic. But it's okay to tell the big lad at the gym that he's a juice head. I see that as wrong. I'm not saying that steroids are right or steroids are wrong, but if you do want to push the limits of body composition, you need to be real. And I think talking about it is something that is important, so that it's not seen as this unspoken thing. Like, I don't have any issues with anybody taking steroids, whether they do or whether they don't. I have clients that are enhanced and I have clients that are natural. I have way more that are natural than are enhanced at the minute, but so be life.
Yeah, I'm the same. If you want to
Really,
take it, I'll guide you in the safest way possible.
yeah, and bloods are essential, and a reason is essential. You can't just want to take steroids just because you want to go and think that you're going to impress a few girls in Ocean Beach in the summer. It's
But look,
ridiculous.
as we know, that's there.
That happens, and it's
And
going to continuously happen.
there's people that say that they're natural and they're not. For what reason? Why you would want to lie to the public like that is beyond me. But I think,
Yeah, well, like, forget lying to the public. You're lying to yourself.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the public really don't give a fuck whether you are or not. Like, if you truly are just genetically superior than most people and you're not, like, we both know a few people that are legit, not like Ashley, natural. You had him on a few days ago.
yeah,
One of the best amateur bodybuilders I've ever seen, and he's natural. I can guarantee you, when he's in his gym, there's snide remarks being made that there's no way he's natural. He's taking this, and he's taking that, and people's opinions are their opinions. They're not going to change. So the best thing for protecting people against the likes of steroids and stuff would be for people to talk about them and educate them. And I think that Dean St. Martin is doing a phenomenal job, because he's one of the few people that have a true understanding of this whole side of it. And the sooner the better he can start some sort of educational thing, if
yeah.
because he'll help a lot of people, coaches alike. Like, I know that I've paid for him to have Skype calls with myself.
I know you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, and teach me, because there isn't a lot of research out there. I can't just go on to PubMed the way I do and look at everything nutrition. I can't just go on to PubMed and start looking at the effects of tren on a 33-year-old professional bodybuilder. So
it's just unfortunate that for
still
us,
taboo.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate that in our sport, that the way we present our bodies on stage, we're like 4 or 5%, 6% lean, as opposed to an NFL player or a rugby player or UFC fighter that is taken PEDs,
And
performance enhancing drugs, and we're getting the all the attacks, and they're not, because the way we look,
mhm,
which can be achieved. Our look can be achieved naturally, and that's the one thing that
to
annoys
some
me.
extent, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Condition can be achieved naturally. Now, if you're a natural bodybuilder, your main asset is your condition.
Hmm.
If you can't get conditioned as a natural bodybuilder, you need to stop. You shouldn't even be considering ever taking steroids if you can't master getting conditioned. That's my opinion, and it's actually, I'm happy that I thought about that there, because that's something that I meant to say before. You need to learn how to suffer and how to get conditioned when you're a natural before you can start thinking about taking steroids or believing that steroids will help more. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that we didn't go into detail with the whole PEDs. I don't want to go into detail, but I wanted to address it in some way. Look, if people want us to talk in detail about it, I'm sure we can. They can comment in the section, or just give me a message or whatever. We can set it up. And I don't know how long are we playing there now?
I
How long is
don't
this
know.
rolling? Do you know?
Doesn't say on my screen.
No, I can't see
I
them.
know.
Look,
What time's it now? It's 3:15. Yeah. We
I was gonna,
started probably about half an hour or something.
right, I was
Yeah,
gonna
go
go
on.
into some training, but just some training protocols.
Yeah.
So from working with you,
Mm-hmm.
I've went from, for years, going through the whole bro split of
Mm-hmm.
what they call it. I don't know why they call it bro split, but you have
Bros
your,
do it.
yeah. So like you're doing your. Well, I would just do chest and triceps, back, biceps, um, legs, then shoulders, or sometimes I would just have the one muscle group on the one day. I did that for years. I would have went heavy enough, but not as heavy pushing it to the limits, kind of high volume. And then we switched when we went to train with yourself. I went to a push pull legs, and I used to think this is not going to make me grow. And it was like you do your little feeder sets, and then you're going to do your top sets, your two top sets, and all out heavy. And it it has worked for me. But do you think that is a system that everyone should do, or
No, yeah, go on.
do you think that's like, I know Dorian Yates adopted that style in such
Yeah,
in a way,
similar. Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah.
way. Do you think that's like the bread and butter of getting strong and
Oh,
building muscle? Or okay.
no, I think that again, you go through different phases from a beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then based on your needs will dictate what way your split will be, and based on your uh, ability to recover, um, will dictate on how you train. So um, if we look at like doing like a warm up set, a back off set, and a top set, or a warm up sets, priming sets, and working for your top set and a back off. This is the popular thing to do now, especially when it comes to push pull legs. But I had you doing that like what, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but right now at the minute it's a very popular split, because the likes of JP and that have really like shotgunned at home. More so even now than I think than what like it was ever popular after Dorian did it. Um, it's one way to build muscle, absolutely, obviously. For certain individuals, it's going to work a lot. My mindset on things is simple. So skill must precede intensity. So once you learn the skill of execution, setup, and intent, well, then we can start to increase load. If your approach is you like to do 3 sets or 5 sets, or you like to work for one top set, they essentially aren't really a whole lot different when you look at it, because the person that's doing 3, 4, or 5 sets will generally look at, bear with me, hang on. Sorry, Vin.
All right.
I was Eva this time.
Okay.
Will essentially do set 1 at whatever weight, set 2 at whatever weight, set 3 at whatever weight, and then the last set, their heaviest set, will be their top set. Yeah. Now what they've done is they've just used feeder sets and then done a top set. But now they've pre-fatigued themselves, so the top set isn't the maximal output of what they could have done if they had it just warmed up efficiently. But they've wrote that down as 4 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that works for them. Now, the way we look at it is you will do your warm-up sets. Maybe you're doing 1 to 3 reps at a weight. You're going up closer. You might do 1 to 2 reps. Hang on. Jesus, woman. You might do 1 to 2 reps. You might do another 1 to 2 reps, and then you're at your working weight, and then you'll milk it for everything that you have. Yeah, for the reps that I give them.
Yeah. So to explain, you're basically just getting a feel for the weight.
Exactly. Yeah.
Till you
So
go
I'm
to the
going
top
to turn
set,
off my phone in case she rings me again. 1 second, Bill.
All right.
So yeah. So whether you are writing it down as 3 to 4 sets of 12, or whether you're just doing 1 top set of 12, a lot of the time the difference with the 3 to 4 set guys are that they're doing feeder sets without even realizing it, because they're saving that last set as their heaviest set. And that's what I'd see commonly enough. I'm not a big fan of putting, especially with big compound lifts, I wouldn't be a big fan of going higher volume with most people unless I know that individual thrives on high volume. And in that case, but that works for that individual, so I'll program that in. And that's when you have to look at programming as being N is to 1, you know. So for you, I know for you, warming up adequately and then taking a top set for all it's worth, so reaching a failure point at a rep range that would be somewhere between the 7 to 10 range, or sometimes you might move down to the 5 to 8 range, and then going a back off set and milking that in the failure points then from 12 to beyond, you know. And I know that works for you, and I know that works for a lot of people, but you can't just jump into thinking that you're doing a top set if you don't know what it's like to be able to go to that level, you know. And that's what I mean, that skill precedes intensity. The skill of going to failure is a skill, you know, and it takes time to learn that. You can't just jump onto a hack squat and think that your mind will give up before your body does, you know. And it's about breaking down boundaries as to how far you can go, and again, and that takes time to learn. So for individuals starting off, I tend not to go down writing down the likes of a top set.
Just let me interrupt you there. Do you feel that you need a training partner there with you, or can you perform that top set with top intensity by yourself?
Depends on the individual.
Yeah.
So it depends on the individual, you know, and it depends on the training environment. So the
I always prefer a training partner.
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, having a training partner is obviously always going to be a good thing. But having a good training partner.
But not everyone likes to train with someone. Some people are.
But having a good training partner is priceless. You know, a good training partner will bring out the best in you. You know, so choosing your training partner wisely would be advice that I'd give to everybody. But is it absolutely essential? No, of course it's not absolutely essential. But will it help you? If that individual is as strong, if not stronger than you, well then absolutely. You know?
Okay.
But again, the points that I'd be looking at there is that when you mentioned about top sets and when you mentioned about back off sets, we're essentially just looking at the ability to go to failure. And taking something for all it's worth, you know. Where the issue is there then, and I touch on it a lot on the site, is exercise selection. You know, performing different exercises but that will take a muscle through its same range are just exercises that will be made redundant. You be smart about your exercise selection and bridge the gap between exercises, milk them for all the worth, and then move on. That's how I look at programming. You can't program effectively unless you have a good understanding of anatomy and how to contract something from its origin to its insertion.
Okay, that's cool. That covers the training side of things. Then look, we can wrap things up. I have a few things here I want to share. So one sec. No, I'm just gonna. Have you seen? Well, first of all, Blessing has moved on from Neil Hill to Chad Nichols.
Hold that thought, will you, for 1 second? Fucking Arlo just had a pen and it's all over him.
No,
1
fuck.
second.
Right, go on.
Arlo. Hi.
You okay?
What's this? What's this?
I know. Yeah. No, he's. I'll edit this bit out. The dog ate a pen. It's all over. Is that bird gone? Flew away. It's still there.
Hi.
Really?
What did you do?
You can see it dead in the ground. Oh no.
Arlo. Sorry about that, Finn. What did you do? Little shy. A fucking ink all over his tongue. You see that?
Oh fuck.
I
That
was
dog.
licking my leg trying to say sorry.
That bird died, by the way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I hate that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It is what it is. People are going to see our soft side here, Finn.
I'm not fucking going to show this.
No?
No.
I want to show Arlo. Arlo needs to make an appearance today. Don't you, buddy?
Well, show him in a minute. Okay. So I just want to share a few pictures, a few things. So first, did you see that Blessing has moved from Neil Hill to Chad Nichols? Now, I don't know why, but obviously it's none of my business. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think on that move?
I'm sure there must be a reason behind it. In terms of he wasn't even with Neil, he never even competed under like Neil. So
yeah, and Neil
that's a very fucking that's a strange move. But your man, he's more of a nutrition background, isn't he?
Chad, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who else does Chad coach?
I don't know. I know he was. I know he's with Big Ramy now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
Big
have no
Ramy's
idea.
with him.
Yeah. I have no idea. I'm sure it will come out.
Look, I'll go onto his page there and I'll see. But first of all, the reason why I mentioned that is I want to go on to show you this young guy on Neil Hill's Instagram. I was going to say, can you guess his age? But it's there. So, one second now. All right, so there's Blessing with there. 1 sec. Him.
Holy fuck, he's 19.
Yeah, I was really impressed with this guy when I first saw him. 19. Now, he does look short, but he doesn't look. He has a nice little small waist, classic physique look. But legs like that at 19.
Incredible.
Yeah. But
yeah,
like,
very good.
And you know this guy is a Summerfield. I know he's called Mike the Badass, but I think it's Mike Summerfield or something like that. Like he's really impressive as well. Now
he puts up some absolute absurd pictures.
Now again, I think he's 5'3", 5'4". But looking at that, you wouldn't think that.
No, well, the picture doesn't tell full story, like so. Have you ever seen him on stage?
No.
Me neither, but I'm forever getting tagged in his pictures. He puts up some absolutely insane pictures.
Like, then we have this whole thing with Blessing with Chad. So yeah, I don't know.
Did Neil Hill? Did he say anything about?
Not that I know of. Maybe someone.
It's
You'd
not
say
great for
so.
him considering that with everything that happened with William Bannock last year.
No, it's not, is it? Like, I'm trying to see
Mm.
who's like there. Look, Rami's there with. So
Yeah.
it,
Just go up to his page again.
who, Neil Hill?
Scroll up. No, your man, Chad Nicholas, whatever his name is, part-time nutritionist. Part-time? What? I don't know. He could be brilliant. It'd be disrespectful for me to say anything else, but it's strange that he has part-time right down there.
Hmm. Maybe he's only taken on a few.
Yeah.
There's Neil
Limited
Hill.
spaces would warrant a better word.
I didn't know this now, but see, Neil Hill is working with
Yeah.
this guy. Remember Eduardo? He came
You competed
second in
against?
Portugal. Yeah, he came
Yeah,
second in
yeah.
Portugal.
He was very good.
So yeah, he's trained by Neil Hill, and I'm just scrolling down to see the last post he made of Blessing, and I don't see it. I don't see any. So maybe he just didn't. Maybe look, maybe it just didn't suit Blessing's way of communicating.
Blessing's still with Redcon, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still with Redcon. Yeah, yeah. Like he didn't really put much up about Blessing.
Yeah.
If you
There's Blessing
there,
there.
he is there.
Go up. Yeah, there's another picture of both.
Oh, was there? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There, yeah. That's the last picture of him.
That was, yeah, he
24
was
days.
prepping for the Arnold Sports 24 days out, obviously because of
Yeah.
coronavirus, blah, blah,
He
blah.
looks very good. So that's
Yeah.
why I feel it was a strange. I'm sure there's reasons behind it, but from the outside it looks unjust decision, considering that you can't take really anything away from the package that he was potentially presenting. No,
Yeah.
but you don't know what happens on the inside. You don't know. Like, it seems to be sort of a volatile situation when you're working with him. From judging from what.
But the Bonac situation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
No, just thought I'd just share those pictures.
No.
And yeah, I think we'll close off with that. What do you think? Gonna show Arlo off
Sorry.
there.
There he is. Here's the man himself. This is shit. You're my boy, aren't you? Hey? You saying hello to Vinny? Where's Vinny? Where's Vinny? Oh.
No
Trying to look out
interest.
the window. Oh, you know, shit. Look at the hanger on him.
Yeah.
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 So
Look,
we round that up.
yeah, we'll finish off with that. Like, I don't know how long it was, but like, I think people will enjoy that.
It's a while anyway. Yeah.
And
Come back in.
And then we'll plan something for. I'm gonna advertise the third episode. I'm gonna get people to ask questions on what they think, because I think when I posted up the first episode, it was like literally 4 hours before I was putting up and then I posted up the channel, so I don't think it gave people enough time. Yeah. So again, people share, subscribe to my channel, and
it was nice waffling to everybody.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. So until next time, goodbye.